Good morning from wherever you're watching us from, and welcome to Impact Dialogues. Now, today is our Health Wednesday, and right here, every conversation is a step forwards, is a step towards a healthier you, and of course, a healthier nation. Now, today we have a lot lined up for you. We do have, our traffic updates coming up, our weather updates coming up, and in our Health Eye, today we are looking at what AI is doing in our health sector right here in the country, without forgetting what happened today in history. Did you know what happened today in history? Do catch that as well. And also not forgetting our super health checker interview. Now, May is still the month of health, of mental awareness. We are still championing for mental awareness this May. This is something that is commemorated globally, and right here on Impact Dialogues Health Wednesday, we cannot afford to miss that particular dialogue. And that is why today on a health check, we are looking at mental health awareness and what it is all about. Now, joining me today in the studios later in the show will be a psychologist. Her name is Faith, and also a mental health advocate. Her name is Wanjiru Renata, and we are going to be demystifying just how the mental health situation looks in the country. Just what steps is the country taking towards ensuring that mental health is dealt with permanently. Now, this is Impact Dialogues with me, Ruth Wanjiru. Do stay tuned as we dive into what is happening in your country health-wise. Yeah, and in case you want to talk to me, my numbers are right there on your screen: 0711 176 006. Do use those numbers to talk to me. Tell me what is your health tip of the week. That is what we do here each and every Wednesday. Talk to me. Tell me where you're watching me from. Tell me where you're getting me from. Tell me if our signals are loud and clear. 0711 176 006. Without forgetting that we are also live on my YouTube, the Oracle Television Network, and also on Facebook, the Oracle Television Network. You can go ahead and get me on my socials, Ruth Wanjiru, across all platforms. Now, to get us started, as always, what happened today in history? Now, this one is actually amazing. Why do I love this? Did you know that Red Cross in America was launched today? And this was a lady. So today, which is May 21st, 1881. Now, the founding lady, let me call her lady. So the American Red Cross was founded today. This was by a lady who was called Clara Barton. Now, Clara Barton officially established the American Red Cross in Washington, D.C. That was in 1881. And also, the Red Cross went ahead to become a vital organization in disaster relief, emergency medical response, and humanitarian aid, both in the U.S. and also globally. Now, I do want us to look at this one very well, because it is actually very interesting. So, who was Clara Barton? Let's start with that. So, Clara Barton was a pioneering nurse during the American Civil War. Actually, she was known as the Angel of the battlefield, and of course she went ahead to launch this particular Red Cross, and right now it has become so big. And this was back then in May 21, 1881, as I had mentioned. And also she was moved by their mission and lobbied for a similar organization in the US. Actually, she was inspired by the International Red Cross that was founded in Geneva. That was back then, kitambo sana. And then, so what was the work of the American Red Cross? So, the reason why they founded it, their mission was disaster relief. That is number one. They were to assist victims of natural disasters, of floods, hurricanes, earthquakes. And actually, if you see I think we have a picture of her, of Clara Barton, together with those that she founded the organization with. You'd really see that they really needed it that time. And you can see the Red Cross, the cross, and of course, another thing they were set to do with the organization was wartime support. This was to provide aid to soldiers and civilians during wartime. Yeah, there you go. That is Clara Barton, actually. And you can see that they actually, after launching it, or after founding the organization, they went ahead to urge more people to join their organization. Then over time, the organization, expanded to organizing blood drives. It went ahead to offer, first aid training. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Now, the one at the center, there, that is Clara Barton, and this was actually one of the first groups of the organization back then when it was founded. And you can see, you can tell that ilikuwa kitambo, because America doesn't look like this right now, right? Yeah, but yeah, and it went ahead to support military families, and also the first major relief effort, that was in 1881. That is when it was founded. The Red Cross responded to a devastating forest fire in Michigan, marking the beginning of its domestic disaster of relief work. Now, today, the American Red Cross is one of the largest humanitarian organizations in the U.S., operating under the same principles that Clara Barton laid down. That is a neutrality, impartiality, voluntary service, and also humanity. So that is what happened today in history. And I know it's pretty interesting. Like we always, I think we need to find out, yeah, that was her go-to quote. I think we need to find out when the Kenya one was founded. I think we need to check that as well. But this was her go-to quote: "I may be compelled to face danger, but never fear it. And while our soldiers can stand and fight, I can stand and feed and nurse them." That was her go-to quote. That is what she always said whenever she appeared for, interviews, or whenever people talked to her. And that was Clara Barton, the founder of the American Red Cross. Yeah, that's right. That is what happened today in history. You tell me what you think about that. 0711 176 006. Now we go ahead to look at our weather update. What is happening in our weather today? Now, our weather is looking pretty nice today. Yeah, we check out what our weather looks like, and I'm telling you, today's weather looks nice, especially in Nairobi. We are enjoying some nice sun in the morning. Actually, right now there is that sun, ile wenye nasemanga ni ya vitamin D. But let's check what is happening. We are going to start with Kakamega. Kakamega County is in Western Kenya, and actually in Kakamega County, well, conditions are a little bit cloudy with afternoon and with an afternoon thunderstorm. That is in Kakamega. So in Kakamega, expect the day to be a little bit cloudy, and of course in the afternoon we are going to be having a thunderstorm or two. That is in Kakamega. Your temperatures are going to be ranging between 26 degrees Celsius, that is highs, and lows of 17 degrees Celsius. That is in Kakamega. And of course the cloud cover is going to increase with a potential for a thunderstorm later. That is in the afternoon. we go ahead to check at Nyeri. Nyeri iko Central Kenya. Nyeri ni mpande wa mlima. And so conditions in Nyeri are going to be partly sunny today. Highs of 25 degrees Celsius and lows of 15 degrees Celsius. Now, there's going to be mild temperatures with a mix of sun and clouds. That is in Nyeri. Machakos, that is in southeastern Kenya. Now, Machakos, today expect a cloudy day and maybe a possible thunderstorm later in the afternoon. And of course, overcast conditions with chances of rain throughout the day. There's a chance or two of rain, so do check that as well. And also, your temperatures are going to be ranging between 24 degrees Celsius and 15 degrees Celsius respectively. Now we go to northeastern Kenya and check at Garissa. Now Garissa, it's going to be sunny and breezy. Highs of 36 degrees Celsius, that is so hot, and also lows of 24 degrees Celsius. It's going to be very warm with strong breezes, minimal chances of rain today. And Meru is in the Mount Kenya region. I see morning thunder showers with partly cloudy skies. Watu wa Meru, you tell me if you've already experienced the thunder showers this morning. And of course, early showers giving way to intermittent sunshine. Of course, through the day, you're going to experience sunshine. But this morning, maybe a few places in Meru have experienced a morning showers, not that much heavy rain, just a little bit of showers. And then your temperatures, highs of 26 degrees Celsius and lows of 15 degrees Celsius. Then Nakuru, the Flamingo County. So Nakuru is partly cloudy with afternoon thunderstorm. That is what is going to be happening today. And of course, variable cloudiness with chances of thunderstorm maybe in the afternoon. Our highs in Nakuru are going to be 23 degrees Celsius and of course, temperatures 14 degrees Celsius low. And then Eldoret, the county of the champions. So Eldoret, today expect sunny conditions with potential, with potential afternoon thunder showers. Now, clear morning skies, I'm sure you've already experienced that, transitioning to possible thunderstorms in the afternoon. And of course, temperatures are going to be ranging between highs of 24 degrees Celsius and lows of 13 degrees Celsius. Then we go to Mambasani Raha, conditions are partly sunny with a chance of thunderstorms today. There's going to be humid conditions, of course, with the potential for afternoon thunder showers. That is in Mombasa. Then temperatures are going to be ranging between highs of 32 degrees Celsius and lows of 24 degrees Celsius. Then we go to Dala, that is Kisumu County. So Kisumu, cloudy with a possible afternoon thunderstorm. Now, there's going to be increased cloud cover with potential for localized thunderstorm. So do expect that in your weather today. And of course, temperatures are going to be ranging between highs of 27 degrees Celsius and lows of 18 degrees Celsius. And now we come back home right here in Nairobi County. Nairobi County, highs of 25 degrees Celsius, lows of 16 degrees Celsius. And actually today is going to be mostly sunny, pleasant day with a blend of sunshine and cloud. Nairobi, I had to read it as the last one. I just had to read it as the last one because sababu, Nairobi nowadays surprises us. 1 minute it is very hot, another minute it is raining, another minute it is cold. But today's forecast says that we are going to have a very pleasant day with a blend of sunshine and clouds. That is how our weather update looks like today. Of course, to get more of this, you can always visit the Met department website to get how your weather is going to look like right there. But do remember that conditions can change, and also remember that no matter how the situation looks like, no matter what condition it is, whether it's as hot as Garissa or as cold as Nyandarua, God's blessings will always come to you. That is how our weather update looks like. I want us to quickly go ahead and check our traffic updates and see what is happening on our roads today. Tujue ni wapi ni wapi ni wapi. Let's look at what's happening on our on our roads today. And by the way, I've actually had a few complaints, Leo, about traffic. Like Thika Road is bad. Also, Waiyaki Way is bad. I don't know why today's traffic just looks like that. But anyway, we start with Thika Road. Now, Thika Road, there has not been major accidents reported or incidents. We do, appreciate that. And of course, there's going to be a delay because there's a little bit of snarl up pale TRM roundabout. At the TRM roundabout, there's a little bit of snarl up. Pale KCA, also a little bit of snarl up. So if you're using Thika Road, your delay is going to be ranging between 10 to 15 minutes max, okay? Ngong Road, no major incidents or accidents reported. However, there's a little bit of delay on Ngong Road. Let me check how many minutes of delay that is. Just give me a minute. Let me check that for you right here. Watu wangu wa Ngong Road. Let me see how much delay we are going to be expecting. Okay. Yeah, here we go. So there's a delay of around 15 to 18 minutes. That is if you're using Ngong Road. There's congestion increases as you approach the CBD, but the traffic is ranging from moderate to heavy. It's moving, and of course, as you approach CBD, the congestion continues to increase. But good thing is that you're moving. Now, Jogoo Road is very heavy. I don't know why they say very heavy, but it's very heavy. And of course, congestion is right there at City Stadium. Also, I see pale nyuma Makadara, there's a little bit of congestion. That is on Jogoo Road. As you approach CBD, pale Country Bus, also from City Stadium to Country Bus, there's a little bit of delay. You're going to have a delay of about 10 minutes. That is on Jogoo Road. It looks a little bit held up kidogo heavy. We do hope that you're going to get to work very early and not get late. Mombasa Road traffic is ranging from moderate to heavy. So there's significant congestion reported, particularly near Mlolongo. That is due to ongoing constructions. People are experiencing delays. Sorry for that. People are experiencing delays around 20 minutes. Wow, 20 minutes delay. That's a long time to wait in the traffic, but that's how it looks like. And Kiambu Road, moderate to heavy. No major incidents or accidents have been reported on Kiambu Road this morning, but there's a delay of around. Let me check that. Just give me a minute. Let me check that for you. Let's check the delay on Kiambu Road. Yeah, I see there's a snarl up pale DCI. Yeah, very heavy. And of course, if you're traveling from Runda and Muthaiga towards the CBD, that you are going to experience around 20 minutes delay, and could possibly extend to 40 minutes because it's a rush hour in the morning. And it's advisable to leave early if you're using Kiambu Road. That is so heavy. I think Kiambu Road is the busiest road we have this morning. But that's how our traffic looks like. Let me see if there's a road I've left behind. I don't see one that I've left behind. I think we've checked. Yeah, Waiyaki Way. So how does Waiyaki Way looks like? Waiyaki Way is heavy kutoka pale Brookside all the way to Chiromo Business Park. A little bit of delay right there. Snarler, but not that much because I see here it's an 8-minute delay. It's a bit heavy. So yeah, yeah, it's not that heavy. It's not that heavy. So if you're traveling, if you're using Wayakiwe, there's a little bit of delay, but not that much. Also, I see here kutoka pale Kangemi, there's a little bit of snarl, but the road inafunguka, then inaenda kushikania pale Brookside. But that is how it looks like. Well, as we always say, always be careful on our roads, and especially that students or rather pupils are in school. There are school buses on our roads, so let's be very, 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 very careful. Be respectful of other road users, whether it's passenger or whether it's pedestrians, whether it's motorists, whether it's V8 owners like yourself. Let us be very, very, very vigilant on our roads, and let us be very careful. You have a destiny to protect. Now, that is our traffic update. I do hope that gets to you. Now, I see we have a message right here. Good morning, Ruth. Okay. Good morning, Ruth. My health tip of the week. As always, watu wakunywe maji mengi. Can't wait for the conversation on mental health. That is amazing. Lakini hujaniambia unatuwatch kutoka wapi. You tell me where you're watching us from, and tell me if our signals are loud and clear. Watu wa Meru, I need to hear from you. I need to hear if our signals are loud and clear. So do text me on that number right there. Also, we are live on Facebook, very live on Facebook. So do also join us pale, comment, like, share. I like it when you guys share this. So you guys go ahead and share that. Now, before we take a short break so that we can, break to, so that we can get into our interview of the day, I do have a health term of the week for you. Now, our health term of the week today is burnout. Burnout. That is our health term of the week today, burnout. So someone might be asking, what really is burnout? Getting burnout. Unajua nini yetu ya kutranslate, utasikia burn, sini burn na kuna out, so ni kuchomeka nje. I know some of you that is how you guys want to make it look like. But burnout, what is burnout? Now, burnout is a state of emotional, physical and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged and excessive stress, often linked to work, caregiving, or academic pressure. Not pleasure, pressure. I don't know if you've heard people say, I'm burnout, or you've heard people go to hospital and then the doctor tells them, you are burnout, you just need to rest. It's just like getting so tired and, finding yourself too exhausted. And by the way, this one actually goes ahead to like develop into some sort of a mental health issue. So the key symptoms of a burnout, number one, we have constant fatigue. You feel like you're always tired, like you're ever tired. Wewe hakuna siku unapumzikanga, you're ever tired. You can feel detached, or sometimes maybe cynical, and of course you can see another one there, reduced sense of achievement at work. Like you're working so much but you really cannot see the results of what you're working. Like una feel nafanya kazi mingi lakini hakuna mahali hii kazi nenda, una feel hakuna mali kazi nanipeleka. That's also another one. Also fantasizing about leaving the job. You're not productive. You always think about how you're going to just leave the job and just be you. You have sleep problems. These are people, I think, who have insomnia, people who can't sleep. You find that you cannot sleep. Of course, also to add on that, maybe more symptoms of depression, sadness, or hopelessness. And sometimes people try to solve burnout by actually using alcohol or drugs, or trying to get themselves into things that can make them forget. And of course, another symptom of burnout would be joint pain. And now, reduced performance and motivations. We've said that, right? This one comes with a reduced sense of achievement at work. That one links to reduced performance or motivation, where you feel like you're working, but when you're working and you love what you do, when you're working and you just feel like you're motivated to continue working, there's something that comes with that. But now when you're burnout, unafanya tu kazi, ufanye kazi tu utoke umalizane nayo. Why does burnout matters? Burnout isn't just about being tired. because most people use the term burnout to say that they are tired, but it's not just about being tired. It can lead to depression. It can also lead to anxiety. It can also lead to physical illnesses if ignored. You've seen some of the symptoms are headaches and sometimes joint pain. I've had people say, I know, back pain, others, chest pains. And if you ignore these symptoms, you tend to, develop a physical illness. And also, to prevent burnout, take regular breaks while at work, okay? You can see more signs of burnout, exhaustion, isolation, like you just want to stay alone and work. You feel like it is you being productive and it is you being a hard worker, but when you start isolating yourself, you really need to check that well. And of course, escape fantasies, we've spoken about that, where you're thinking about just leaving your job, you're very easily irritated. That is irritability. Like someone can just irritate you by just stepping on you. That is also maybe a sign of burnout. And of course, frequent illness, depression, anxiety. That is on the mental health part. And we've said physical illness as well. So prevention, how do you prevent burnout? Take regular breaks at work. Of course, I also set boundaries. Love yourself kidogo. As much as you love working hard and as much as you love getting it all done, learn to take breaks, learn to set boundaries. Just know when it is enough. Of course, get enough rest, very important. And don't be afraid to ask for support. Don't be afraid to ask your colleague for help. You feel like this is too much work, always ask for help instead of killing yourself with work right there and no one. Funny thing, someone once told me that when you overwork yourself much, the day that you're going to maybe fall sick, they're going to find a replacement for you. So as much as you love your place of work, as much as you love working, always ask for support from your other colleague. Usikwe alpha na omega. Just learn to ask for help when you feel like it is exhausting or you feel like it is overwhelming. Always ask your colleagues to help you out and support you no matter how the situation looks like. And also a mental note on that, if you're always on the edge, it's okay to pause before you take a break. Your health matters. Your mental health matters. Why? Because your mental health is your wealth. If you're not okay mentally, you're not going to be okay anywhere else. So that is that. And that is our health term of the week, burnout. So you do check that out, and also check if you've been burning out yourself lately, and start taking care of yourself more. Now, one more thing, we look at one more thing before we take a very short break so we can make way for our interview. The health eye today. What is our health eye looking at? Our health eye is looking at something that is very interesting that is happening in Kenya right now. So, did you know that there is an AI model? Now, this is what is happening in Kenya right now, okay? There is an AI model that, offers early warning for acute malnutrition in Kenya. Now, you do know that Kenya has been struggling with malnutrition, especially in the arid or semi-arid areas. I wanted to say dry areas, but we call them arid and semi-arid areas. You know that Kenya has been struggling with that. And now, through AI, we might have a system that warns of acute malnutrition in Kenya. Now, a groundbreaking study has introduced an artificial intelligence, that is AI model, capable of forecasting childhood malnutrition in Kenya with remarkable accuracy. Now, published in PLOS one that is on May 14, 2025. Actually, it is May 14th. May 14th, last week. Okay, the model achieves 89% accuracy in predicting malnutrition 1 month in advance. Can you imagine that? Like, it can predict malnutrition with 89% accuracy 1 month in advance. Then another interesting thing, 86 accuracy over 6 month period. So 89 in 1 month, 86 that is in over 6 months. Then this advancement significantly outperforms traditional models, especially in regions where malnutrition rates fluctuate unpredictably. That is maybe in the arid and semi-arid areas. And what is the significance of this model? Now, the impact on children. is going to, do this. Approximately 350,000 children under 5 in Kenya suffer from acute malnutrition. Just look at those numbers. Approximately 350,000. That is children under 5 years. That is such a huge number. Suffer from acute malnutrition, a condition that severely weakens, that is the immune system, and increases susceptibility to diseases like diarrhea and malaria. Like when the immune is weak, children are more prone to diseases like malaria, cholera, whatnot, all those kind of diseases. And of course, in some areas, the malnutrition rate among children can soar up to 25%. Now 25% might look small to you, but that's a very huge percentage. Imagine like in Nairobi, just like look at a county like Nairobi. How many are we in Nairobi? Do a 25% of that number. You can imagine how many children suffer malnutrition. And of course, this development right here, the model will enable health authorities to anticipate malnutrition trends, allowing for timely intervention and resource allocation. Because if it can predict a month before, if it can predict 6 months before, that means that the Ministry of Health will have a very easy time in finding a solution before the problem gets here, or rather eradicating the problem before it comes. That is that. And of course, the collaboration behind the study, this is between AMREF, Health Africa, and of course Microsoft AI, Good Lab. And of course, this is going to mean so much to the Ministry of Health, because the AI-driven approach marks a significant step towards addressing child malnutrition in Kenya. By leveraging technology, health officials can implement proactive measures, potentially saving thousands of lives. I mean, how interesting is that? That is our health check, or rather health eye today. That is what is happening right now, and that is such a big and that is such a big and interesting news. You can imagine predicting malnutrition a month earlier. The Ministry of Health could do a lot with this, and this could go ahead in saving millions and millions of children in the country. Now, that is our first segment of the show. Do keep talking to me, 0711 176 006. Tell me, what is your health tip of the week? And of course, tell me where you're watching me from. I will be glad to read all your messages. Text or WhatsApp me on that particular number. Now, we want to take a very short break so we can go ahead and, invite our guests that we can do our health check this morning. And do remember that I told you our health check is on mental health. Why is it on mental health? Because May is the month of mental health awareness globally. This is celebrated across nations, and this is done to make sure that mental health is not just a discussion, but it is something that is taken care of. Because I did read for you the statistics last Wednesday, and you did hear how much Kenya is in need of mental health awareness, right? So we take a very short break. We are coming back. This is Impact Dialogues. Don't touch that dial. doing this because we want it to be a conversation that it does not only stick in boardrooms, a conversation that sticks everywhere. And with me here today, I have two very beautiful ladies. One you've already or might have seen her before. That was last year. And then you have Renata. You do not know her. So Renata is a mental health advocate. She will tell us more about herself. And Faith over there is a psychologist. She will also tell us more about her. But before I give them a minute to each introduce themselves, first let us look at how the statistics look. I know that we looked at them last week, but I do want to repeat maybe just a few so we can have a base for our conversation this morning. Okay, so the prevalence of mental health disorders in Kenya. Now, 1 in 4 Kenyans will experience a mental health disorder at some point in their lives. That is number 1. Then number 2, approximately 12 million Kenyans, hiyo namba ni kubwa, 12 million Kenyans are living with mental health disorders. That is including depression, anxiety, and substance use disorders. Number 3, 3.7 million Kenyans are affected by mental health conditions, accounting for about 15% of the workforce. Now, 15% of Kenyans is so many Kenyans. That's a very huge number. And of course, the other one, 45% of adults, that is in Western Kenya, have experienced symptoms of a mental health disorder at some point in their lives. Then we also did look at a common mental health condition. Depression is the most prevalent of all. Then we have anxiety disorders, we have substance use disorders, we have also bipolar disorders, as well as a few others. I want us to name them very quickly so we can have enough time for our discussion this morning. Now, when it comes to service access, how does this look for us? Over 75% of individuals with mental health disorders have never sought for professional help. Like out of the 12 million Kenyans you've seen up there, now 75 of these 12 million Kenyans have never actually sought out for help. And of course, Kenya has fewer than 100 psychiatrists. Now, Faith here is a psychologist. I think we are going to look into that deeper. But Kenya has less than, fewer than 100 psychiatrists for a population of over 45 million. You can imagine 100 psychiatrists for a population of over 45 million, and this is leading to a significant treatment gap, as you can see. And also, mental health services are predominantly located in urban areas. Now, in rural areas, it is almost non-existent, and of course, this makes it challenging for rural people to access some of these. Now, the economic impact of this, we did check that last week, but let me just mention a few. Mental health conditions in Kenya cost approximately 62.2 billion. That is annually, and that is equivalent to 0.6% of the country's GDP due to loss of productivity and healthcare expenses. And then these statistics would not be complete without looking at the youth, right? So youth, 17.1% of university students in Kenya have experienced suicidal thoughts. That's actually alarming. 26.8% of high school students have had suicidal thoughts, with 14.9% planning suicide and 15.7% attempting it. And these are just some of the statistics that show how mental health conditions in the country look like, or rather the prevalence of mental health conditions look like in the country. Now, I want us to dive deep into the conversation. Remember that you can text me on that number on your screen, 0711 176 006. Join us. This conversation, we say it's not for me and my guests alone. So it is for us. That is the essence of Impact Dialogues. Now, moving on swiftly, let me start with the far end. Faith, welcome back again to Oracle TV.
Thank you.
It's been a while, right? Yeah. So I want you to first of all introduce yourself to our viewers. Tell them what you do as we move on swiftly.
Okay. Thank you, Ruth. To the audience, my name is Faith Uo. I am a psychologist. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis to listen to people's issues to help them thrive, become better, heal, restore. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. To help them heal and restore.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So I have a mental health consultancy firm known as Therapy Effect Consulting. That's where I'm based at. We are in Westlands.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And beside me right here, I have a very beautiful lady. Now, it's her first time to be here. So welcome so much, Wangui. Wangari, sorry. Kindly introduce yourself and also tell our viewers what you do.
Hello everyone, my name is Wangari Renata. I'm a mental health activist who believes in mental health and spirituality, and I'm so happy to be here. Yes.
You're welcome. Here we say the future is here.
The future is here.
The future is indeed here. And diving right into the conversation. Now, let's first of all look at the Mental Health Awareness Month. So May is that month where we get to advocate for mental health awareness, where we get to like make this conversation known and make this conversation appear maybe out of the hospital corridors. And to you as a psychologist, Faith, are we at a point where this conversation has left the hospitals and right now it is out there? Ama tunangojanga tu May ndo to commemorate?
So this conversation is actually out of the hospital corridors. It's to our houses. It's to each individual because it concerns us all.
Okay.
It's not about those who have mental illnesses. Mental health is for everyone. It's a business for everyone. Yes.
Amazing. And Renata, you are a mental health advocate, right? So you've seen the statistics, and these are actually just some of the statistics that we have. If you actually look at how the country, is dealing with mental health, you actually be shocked. And as a mental health advocate, where do you think we are heading in terms of mental health, and especially to the youth? Because you're a youth, umeona venye nini za universities inakaa. Where are we heading?
As a country, I'd say this is a silent calamity and actually a pandemic. And as she said, it's out of the hospital blocks.
Okay.
And right now, it's high time we reach to the basics, the community basics. And being a youth, the first place we should reach is introducing this probably in schools and making sure people understand exactly what mental health is and how important it is.
That's interesting. And Faith, looking at the statistic now, 12 million people in Kenya have a mental health disorder, and 75% of these 12 million people have never sought for professional help. Why do you think that's so?
This is so because one, it starts from the diagnosis. So these 75 people who have a mental illness, majority of them are not aware. So undiagnosis leads to being untreated. So because they do not have the awareness that this condition exists in me, there's no business in seeking mental health services. Yeah. And why is it so? It's because mental health conditions, unlike physical conditions, one, it's not something we will easily see. By the time it's getting to the behavioral aspect, it's already been in this person long enough because it affects our thoughts, how this person is thinking. Ruth, by look of you, I can't really tell what is going on in your mind.
True.
And that's why we are talking of suicidal attempts, because many people are struggling with suicidal thoughts, but you can't just see it. So we are with them in the workplaces, we are with them at home, but we do not know because it affects the thoughts. It goes on to affect the emotion. Yeah. And sometimes we have a smiling generation, where people are smiling, they are working hard, they look very kept, but internally they are struggling with their feelings, feelings of sadness, worthlessness, but then they just want to put a facade of all is well.
And while explaining that, she mentioned something about accepting, or rather diagnosis. And Renata, are we at a point where unajua Wakenya si ni Wakenya tu, wewe unakulwa tu na shida, unakaa peke yako na shida yako? So are we at a point where we are in denial? We don't want to accept that I'm going through depression. We've seen also anxiety is also a mental health disorder. Is that the cocoon we are in?
Yeah, we are in denial based on the way we have been shaped by the society.
Okay.
And most of the time is based by workplaces, the society itself, we have stigmatizing words. If we create a safe space where people can speak up, but the more we create awareness, the more people will come to the place of acceptance. It's true. A lot of people are in denial. And in terms of speaking up and saying, I live with this condition, I have this condition, it's also a point of healing.
Living in denial. And a funny thing is that hatakangi kuambiwa uko kuja na mimi niko na depression tako sana. I'll start asking you how you knew na ni mimi niko nayo. And Faith, I think from our statistics we see that psychiatrists are lacking. You know, in a population where we have 45 million people, 100 psychiatrists, you can imagine the licensed ones. And so as a psychologist, how should the Ministry of Health make it easier for you guys to do your job? Because at the end of the day, you cannot be a superhuman. You cannot deal with 120 people a day, or rather 200 people a day. So sitting from that seat, what can the Ministry of Health do better to make your situation easier, or rather make your work easier?
So one, to start with that understanding or awareness that there are fewer psychiatrists.
Okay.
This is it's a needing statistic, yeah, because as we are seeing, there's a lot of mental health crises, but at the same time, the workforce is not as much, and especially to the rulers, because majority of the psychiatrists that are there, the few are centralized within Nairobi, you know, the rest. So if I have a client in Murang'a or Kakamega, I really struggle to connect them with a psychiatrist, yeah, because maybe it's just one in that entire county. So it's important that, and I don't think that there are not many who are graduating as psychiatrists. So the whole aspect is to incorporate mental health services even to the level 4, level 3 hospitals, because there's some great improvement in terms of incorporation of mental health services. We've seen the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, every level 4 and 5, Bagathi, Kenyatta, they have a mental health psychiatry unit. But would that service be extended even to the level 3, level 2s, so that someone who is somewhere in Kitui and wherever, they know for sure, if I go to this hospital, I will get a mental health service. So it calls for government being able to redistribute those psychiatrists who are graduating. Recently, we had news on psychologists who are lacking jobs.
True.
Yeah. Not because there are no mental health crises, but where are the jobs? Yeah.
Amazing. And when we are speaking about awareness, Renata, what are we really speaking about? And especially keeping in mind that this is the mental health awareness month. So when we say awareness, what is this that we are speaking about?
Speaking a language that we understand.
Okay.
At a point of where we have to stand out and speak, this is not only an issue that involves, allow me to say this, crazy person. No, we are all struggling at some point, and the society has labeled names when it comes to creating awareness in terms of this, but when we say creating awareness, we speak about a language that all of us should speak. A language where we create a safe space where everyone can speak. You know what? If I come and say, are you okay? You're like, I'm not okay. And speaking about what she said in terms of mental health, we cannot create awareness and not take action.
True.
And there is where we bring in leaders, we bring in the community, we bring in, because mental health knows no rank. Mental health knows any person can be affected by it. It's just that the more it's neglected, the worse it gets.
Wow. The more it's neglected, the worse it gets. It's like when you have a certain disease, the more you ignore it, the worse it gets. And you spoke about action, and I'm looking at the theme of 2025 awareness, the awareness theme of 2025, and it looks a lot on action. So Faith, what is this action that we are supposed to be taking?
So we are coming from the awareness to taking action.
Okay.
And taking action involves integrating mental health in your day-to-day activities. Yeah, it's not about a special day commemoration. We are waiting for May to commemorate mental health, and then that's it. Yeah, we have to incorporate it on our day-to-day activities by asking yourself, how am I taking care of my mental health today?
Okay.
In my workspace. Yeah. Does it involve setting healthy boundaries? Does it involve understanding your emotions and learning to regulate the emotions?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's basically day-to-day running. It's what cumulatively will lead to the mental illnesses. But before we can get to the illness, what are you doing to ensure that you're preventing yourself from getting to that level?
Okay, and that's the action we are speaking about. And now, Renata, as we're speaking about action, you know, as a mental health advocate, you know, advocacy sometimes cannot be easy. So what are some of these challenges, especially in a country where it is not a common conversation? Because mental health is not a common conversation in Kenya. I'm telling you, I come and you tell me I'm depressed, hapo ndo tunaanza kukosana. Or you go to hospital and then daktari anakuambia ni kama kidogo when a depression ama uko na suicidal thoughts. You know, in a country where this is not I don't want to say appreciated, but this is not a common conversation, what are some of the challenges that you go through while trying to really advocate for this?
Speaking of action, I'll speak of my own story based on what she said.
Okay.
I've been an advocate for a while based on experience, and when you take action, then is when things start to change. Truly, this is not a conversation that has been accepted. The moment you say we need to speak about mental health, and they say health is wealth, I say there's no health without mental health. So definitely taking action is by first community, starting at the basics. Because how will I explain to you? You said, if you come to me and say niko na depression tutakosana.
How do you know?
So when we take action, when I go to a therapist, that's the first step I had to take, going to a therapist. And she takes me through the process of life. She teaches me how to handle my stress. And people relate going to therapy with a certain kind of issue, but this is taking care of yourself.
Okay.
Prevention is better than cure, right? So another issue is in terms of taking action mostly, we have to start with the community basics.
True.
Trainings. The government is not allocating enough money to train. Introducing education in schools concerning mental health. That I'm able to say I want to be a psychiatric. A lot of people say I want to be a doctor. When you specify, they'll say I want to be a brain doctor. But we have neurologists, but we have few psychiatrists. Are we creating awareness enough that we can mentor these kids to become psychiatric too? So how are we taking action? By us uniting and by us creating a safe space. I'll keep saying safe space.
Safe space. And you know, you reminded me of something. I don't remember where it was, but a while back, you know, a child says that she wants to be a psychologist. Unataka kudeal tu na wazimu, si ndio? And you know, when you get into a situation like that, that is where stigma really starts. And you know, Faith, stigma. When it comes to mental health disorders, we have bipolar. These are people who don't actually understand themselves. I hear they have split personalities. I am not a psychologist, but that's what I hear. I stand to be corrected, by the way. We have people who have suicidal thoughts. We have people who are depressed. Na by the way, depression siku hizi tunaita stress. Si ugonjwa, nika stress tu ndakunywa tu antidepressant na iishe. So when we talk about stigma, are we at a situation where it is because of stigma that you don't have the space, the safe space that Renata is speaking about?
Yeah. Stigma is a big barrier when it comes to mental health services and seeking help. But you want to look at stigma in two ways. There's self-stigma and there's social stigma.
Sure.
Yeah. So there are people who will stigmatize themselves. So I wake up, I'm struggling to wake up in the morning, I'm struggling with my moods, I'm struggling, but I'm afraid to go seek for mental health services. I'm like, mi nawezaje kuwa niko na shida, you know. Mwanaume ni kujikaza,
especially for men, and I don't know why for men. We are going to get to that.
Yeah, so you find that by yourself you're stigmatizing. Yeah, we've not gotten to that level where we've seen you walk to our unit or to Mathare, just our neighbor here, and someone will start to say, huyu ako na shida gani? You get? When you're coming from office and you tell your friend, just like you can be walking and you're like, I feel I have some chest issue, let me check the doctor here. But no one will want to say, nasikia kichwa yangu, wacha niangalie psychologist hapa. So there's a lot of social stigma and also self stigma. So we have to break the barrier by starting within ourselves. We have to understand that it's normal. Brain is it's a body organ, just as we have the legs, the hands, the stomach,
and it
the
can
chest.
get sick sometimes.
Yeah, it can get sick. So we have to normalize really mental health conversations, and it's okay to not be okay, right?
Okay.
I have to. It's fine to just admit that, hey, today I'm struggling with my moods. It is fine, and it shouldn't be labeled as, okay, now you have bipolar. Bipolar is a mood disorder.
Even ndio Mathare wanaanzanga. I've had that term called, even ndio Mathare walianza kidogo they landed there.
Yeah.
And you know, this is such a a powerful conversation that should be on every table in the country, because as Renata says, your mental health is your wealth. And I think I said that in the first session as well. If you're not okay mentally, you're not going to be productive. You're not going to make that money that you want to make so much. And you know, moving on, Renata, when it comes to dealing with stigma and also connecting that with awareness, is there anything that the government should do to make it easy for advocacy? Because you know, they cannot provide the services, they cannot provide the funds, and also do advocacy. You know, some people have to like come in there to help them do that. So how should they make this easier?
One thing I'm happy, I would love to say thank you for creating one of the things that the government allow is these conversations to happen.
Yeah.
But also these are conversations that should also happen in the parliament.
Okay.
But also, are they really implementing what they say? Because the government should implement what they say. So in terms of stigma, speaking of people living with condition with mental health, it doesn't mean because you have a condition you can't function. You can. It doesn't mean because you have bipolar, ADHD, schizophrenia. It's just that you're different. It's just that a person with double limbs loses one limb, they learn how to use the other limb. And it means that you have, when you start taking your disorder as a superpower, it becomes, the stigma begins to end. For example, if you look at any person who invented something in the world, they had a certain type of mental health condition. So when we start viewing that and creating a safe space where their creativity is involved, the government is by creating, okay, we have kids struggling with ADHD, meaning they can't settle, but they can draw. Can we create a safe space for them to bring in their creativity? So when we have advocates like me who wants to stand out and speak, are we creating a platform where they can speak? So thank you, Oracle, for giving us a platform where we can speak as people who want to speak up as advocates. Lastly, in terms of a person living, any person who is watching me and you have any form of disorder, it's not that you're different. It's just that you're differently able. You just have to maximize on your capabilities and also have enough grace for what you can't be able to overcome.
That's beautiful, beautifully said. And Faith, my producer is on my neck. We are running out of time, but you know, as a psychologist, you know, speak to someone out there, someone who number one is self-esteem, is going through self-stigma, someone who yes, you feel poor lakini siwezi kuwa wazimu, Sikia depression inapelekanga watu Mathare. Someone who's there in that kind of situation, speak to that person and maybe a word of hope for them, and also for them to know how important it is to seek help, because it is okay not to be okay.
So if you're out there and you're struggling, the first thing I want to retaliate is what Renata said, that if it's not taken care of, it gets worse. Think about it as someone who's struggling with cancer and they're at level 1. It's so easy to repair that, right? But what if I just sit in and be like, I don't think this swelling is so whatever, and
true.
I go to the hospital when it's at level 4, stage 4. It will be more difficult. So it's better you come out earlier, and get healthy coping skills, techniques, without even the need for medication, because medication comes in when it's at a progressed level.
Okay.
So it's important to share, open up, understand what could this be something that is actually happening to me, because as we said, the manifestation is in a way that could be deemed as you're being lazy or something, or you're projecting your pains on us, and maybe it's an indicator that there could be something.
True.
So it's common. Mental health, we are saying they are common, they're extremely, extremely common. So you're not alone. The first thing is to realize you're not alone. Come out, seek help, and join support. We have support groups, so that you're among people who are going through the same thing, and then you realize this is a common thing.
That is interesting. Do not be afraid to seek for help. Now, Renata, to your fellow advocates, some of them are losing hope. Advocacy is never an easy thing, by the way. Just getting out there in the street, to speak about advocacy, or rather to advocate for something that people don't actually believe in, or people are living in denial with. So one word you'd have for all the mental health advocates out there?
If it's part of you, you have to start and never let it go.
Uh-huh.
Wangari Maathai said, on the grassroots, it all starts in the grassroots of the community. I'll go back to that. So lastly, to all advocates, we are not giving up, and together we can.
Together we can. That is super interesting. And of course, to you back at home, I'm hoping that you're catching something from the conversation today, and you know that this is the sole impact of Impact Dialogues. So I like that. It matches sole impact of Impact Dialogues. But anyway, we are running out of time. I want to let Faith and Wangari go, but before I do let them go, of course, they have to give us their parting shot. And to you back at home, mental health is an issue that should be on each and every table. And because May is Mental Health Awareness Month, I think we still have one more Wednesday to discuss mental health awareness. We're going to find something for next week, something interesting, something interactive that is going to involve all of us, so we can make sure awareness is made, not just awareness by mouth. Ata this year, by the way, ni awareness to action. You create awareness and then you take action. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us for the conversation today. Now let me start with Wangari right here. Kindly give us your parting shot, as maybe you're saying hi to someone back at home when you'll come and I'll be live.
I'll say thank you to my mom.
All right, mamas.
And to everyone who has always supported me in mental health advocacy, and thank you to Oracle TV.
Okay, interesting. Faith, you have a parting shot for us?
Sure. I will encourage us to have mental health conversation. Shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces.
Wow.
Feel safe to seek help. Professionals are there for that cause, to be able to give space for stories to be told in safety. So that's my parting shot. Please ensure that you reach out to someone, call someone, talk to someone. Do not die with your thoughts. Do not die with all your feelings. Open up. Let's talk. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for you guys for making it here. We do love you for making time to speak about mental health. And to you back at home, thank you so much for giving us 2 hours of your time from 8 a.m. until now. I think we've eaten some of your few minutes, but it's well. We do appreciate you and we do love you. Now remember, this is Impact Dialogues. We do this each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Until I see you on Friday for our social Fridays, I want you to stay safe and stay blessed. But before we leave, have you partnered with Oracle TV? Make sure that you go ahead to partner with us. You might want to sponsor a program right here on Oracle TV. You might want to sponsor Impact Dialogues. You might want to sponsor Checkpoint, which will be coming to you at exactly 11 a.m. You might want to sponsor Wordfest. Will be coming to you at 1 p.m. You might want to sponsor any other program that you like right here on Oracle TV. You can do that. Call us on that number that is always there on your screen, 0711 176 006. Also, that is our pay bill number, 171133. Use that pay bill number as well to support Oracle TV and partner with us. So my name has been Ruth Wanjiru. It has been a pleasure to be on your screen this morning. Thank you so much for joining me, for every comment, for every share, for every reaction. Watu wa Facebook tutasotiana na nyinyi Friday. But until I see you for a social Friday, stay safe, stay blessed, and stay happy.